In this lesson, we're going to create the hood for their character. Alright, so I went ahead in between lessons and I used the brushes that we've already seen with the t-shirt and just started chewing it up a little bit, and that's really all I did to that. Went over some of the edges a little bit with the Dam Standard brush and kind of started creating a little bit of waviness in between the stitches, but I think that was pretty much it there. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to create the hood, and this can be done a number of different ways. I'm going to go ahead and select the body of the character, and with the character selected, let's go ahead and go down a couple of subdivision levels. So we'll hit Shift D, and I'm going to just extract some geometry for a hood here. So it's pretty simple to do, and it seems like we've been doing that for quite a while now, and so it works. So let's go ahead and turn off stroke for the mask. So make sure you hold down Control, then go to stroke. And we'll come in and we'll just start to get some information here. And we don't want any geometry from the ears. Okay, we don't really need all of that, so we'll just go around it. And we'll do something kind of looks like this. Now, I am going to go ahead and let me hide the t-shirt on this. I'm going to hold down Control and I'm going to go around the head or the neck, just like that. And what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I have enough geometry that I can hide underneath the coat. Okay, so we'll do something that looks just like this. Alright, very good. Oops. So I think I've got enough here. Hold Control and Alt if I want to get rid of some of this that's on the forehead, so I don't necessarily need all of that. And there we go. So that'll give us a pretty good start for what we need. So I'm going to hit Extract. And we'll do a thickness of, let's say, 0.002. And we're going to double that. So let's do an Extract. See what we got there. It's pretty good. I might want to go a little bit thicker than that, though. So let's do 0.005. Extract. I think we can deal with that. That looks pretty good. Now there are a couple of issues that I see with this right now. Let me hit Control Alt. Let me get away from the ear just a little bit more. Extract. And I think that's good. So let's go ahead and accept that. And we've got plenty there. So now what we can do is let's make sure the symmetry is turned on. Let's grab our Move tool. Or Move brush, I should say. Whoops. Turn off light box. I'm accidentally hitting that. And let's go ahead and start pulling this out. Whoops. And let's make sure we grab the hood. So Control, drag outside of that, and we'll just start pulling this around. Hit X. Make sure symmetry is turned on for that. Pull that around. And we'll just shape this. Now if it starts getting torn up, that's totally fine. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to get a nice shape for this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to remesh it. Okay. So just bringing that down around the head there so it rests right on it. So something kind of like this. And then just want to make sure that gravity is taking over on this. Okay, so we don't want a big flare right out here on the side. We want the hood to rest right where it should. Looking at this from the side, I want to kind of cover her face up a little bit more. Get that out away from the side of her head there. Okay, so let's take a look at this hood with the coat, the shirt, okay, so that's looking pretty good. Happy with that. Now on top of this, we want to make sure that we're staying away from the jacket, and that she's also going to have a scarf under there too. Okay, so let's just make sure that we get all that. So I'm going to kind of smooth this out a little bit. So just very lightly coming in, smoothing it out. Okay, so she's going to have a scarf that kind of covers that up underneath. So let's go ahead and just solo that. Okay, I'm going to soften these edges here. Okay, now with that, there's one thing that I don't really like about this, and that's the V that we get here. I want to go ahead and move that down a little bit lower. Okay, I want to bring it out, but I want it to kind of bunch up, kind of like this, so it creates kind of this V there. Okay, so something along these lines. All right, very good. Now we have that hood in there, but it's, oh man, I can't even imagine what that topology is going to look like. It's really stretched out in some areas. I mean, it looks good. It's not bad, but I want to work on it a little bit more. And actually, I want to push it underneath the shirt. So just make sure that that's underneath there, underneath the t-shirt, and not showing outside the coat there. All right. Now with that, a couple other things that you'll want to make sure that we pay attention to is that she also has hair. So that's going to play into that as well. So I have some hair. We'll plug that in. Make sure we give it enough mass for all of that too. Very good. All right. So liking that, we have enough room for hair in there. Let's go ahead and remesh this. So go to Geometry, Z Remesher. Let's go ahead and just stick with the default values on that. Let's make the adaptive size around 20. Z Remesher. Okay, so that's gone ahead and finished. Let's hit Shift F. Okay, got a nice topology on this. A couple of areas that are a little rough. I want to go ahead and smooth that out a little bit more. Okay, let me go ahead and remesh that again. There we go. So see how it all straightened up there. Just needed a little bit of smoothing in there. And let's hit Shift F. And there we go. All right, so there is the hood. Now we can do a little bit more work on this. If you want to add different details, you can go ahead and Shift or Control D to divide it. Maybe add a little bit of thickness to the edge of that. I would suggest using Inflate to do that. Just to, you know, if there was maybe something like a drawstring or something kind of in the edge of that, maybe make that a little bit thicker. And it might help to just make it a little bit thicker altogether along the front. Just so that way Geometry can really take in all that information. So I'm just coming over this over and over again and across the edge. I'm just really thickening up that edge. Okay. And then you can come in, if you want to take a look at the concept art a little bit, and there's some folds and things like that in there. It might be a good idea to go ahead and just take a look at some reference and create those folds, but really it's actually pretty good. I would suggest using just the standard brush, maybe a higher brush size on that, and just kind of stroking that in. Let's get rid of that alpha. And we'll take the stroke down on that. You could start to really work that in a little bit. I'd take that intensity down though. Okay. Kind of working there. Now make sure that your back facing is turned off on that, so that way it changes the inside of that too. So it's going to kind of hang from the side, kind of like that, and you get something kind of like that there. And again, you want to think about what surfaces are influencing this. So it's usually it's going to be the top of the head where that's resting, maybe hair that's pushing that in from the inside there. And where does it gather? Okay, and how does the cloth all come together? Okay. So all things to consider with this. And what's keeping it up like this? Okay, the collar of that. Grab my move brush and just kind of want to bring that down a little bit closer to the collar of the coat, just so that way it does look like it's affecting it more than what it really is. Okay, and then turn off symmetry, and then do some subtle movements of this just to kind of break it up a little bit, so that way you don't get a perfectly symmetrical character. Okay, so there we go. We've got our hood in. You can add more geometry to that, like I said, if you need to. Go ahead and add some damage to that. But all in all, I think this is pretty good. I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. So really happy. So add some damage to that. Make sure you add another layer just in case you don't want damage, and maybe put a couple of holes here and there on that hood. And we're looking good. Next thing that I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and let you do it on your own. If you want to create a scarf or something like that, do just like we did with the hood. Make it a separate object. You can create that in there, work on that. I'm going to let you do that on your own, just kind of let you experiment. We've worked with a lot of tools on this. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm actually going to be finishing up the character by adding the final details of the gloves. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about how to create those next. I also want to talk about how to create a pattern in those to make them look like a linen woven glove. And then we'll finish off by adding in our final details to our character and getting that ready. So I'll see you in the next lesson.